What I want to talk to you guys about today is a lesson I learned from Star Wars. Now, the first Star Wars. I know that there's probably bigger Star Wars geeks out there than me. So when I talk about the first Star Wars, it's really episode 4. If you think that The Phantom Menace is the first episode of Star Wars, awesome. That works for you. We're talking about episode 4, where Luke Skywalker starts coming into the picture. Now, if you remember, this story follows the classic hero's journey, which is told in almost every single movie and every single book that you've read, which is that there is a person that wants something. Now, this is the hero. And when it feels like there is all lost hope of being able to get that thing, a guide appears and issues a challenge that the hero of the story feels like is impossible to do. Then they go out and win that challenge, and then the guide shows up to affirm the transformation of the character. It is the classic hero's journey. It's documented from a business perspective in a book called Story Brand by Donald Miller. Very good book. If you haven't read that book, I definitely suggest picking a copy of that up and actually reading it through the whole way. Not just doing what most people do, which is read 30% of a book, shut it, and then wonder why they didn't get the results that the book claimed to be able to give them. So, in the hero's journey in episode 4 of Star Wars, which is The New Hope, right, is that Luke wants to fight the Empire. He wants to fight the Empire, and his aunt and his uncle are saying, like, no, it's never going to happen, not going to work. All of his stuff, his hope is at its lowest, especially when his aunt and uncle get murdered. And I'm not saying spoiler alert, because if you haven't seen that Star Wars, it's been out for like 40 years. All right, so you should have seen it by now. In any event, he's got no hope to do this, and then Obi-Wan shows up and issues a challenge. He says, you have the Force. You need to go train on it, though. There's this dude named Yoda way out on Dagobah. You've got to fly in the X-Wing fighter, and you've got to get there. Now, if you remember the story, what happens is Luke crashes the X-Wing into this bog, and he can barely get out of it. X-Wing can't move anywhere out of the bog, but he somehow finds Yoda. Yoda finds him, and they start doing this Jedi training. Now, in the Jedi training, after they get going in it a little bit, Yoda tells Luke, you've got to lift the X-Wing fighter out of that bog just with your hand and your mind. Really, he's making the motion, but it's all with his mind. And Luke's working on this and working on this and working on this, and he's working on it like all day, and he can't do it. He can't lift it up, and Yoda comes back in and checks with him. And he's like, why isn't the X-Wing fighter out of the bog? And Luke says, I don't know, Master Yoda, I'm trying. And Yoda has one of his Yoda wisdomisms, and he says, there is no try. There is only do and do not. And it's a really interesting lesson, and it's a lesson that applies to so much of how I operate in my daily life, and probably how you do. You probably say the word trying a lot. I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. I'm trying to get this business off the ground. I'm trying to start a podcast. I am trying to make my relationships better. You say try a lot. It's part of the way that we've been taught, trained, and educated to speak. I'm trying to do something. But here's the deal. It's only trying or doing. There's no difference. There is no trying. There is only doing, like Yoda said. Here's the thing about trying. And this is something that I recognized a little while ago when I was working on building a clothing company. I've told the story on the podcast a lot. It was a colossal failure, almost $400,000 out of my pocket in this thing, because I kept on saying, I'm trying. I'm trying to build a global apparel brand. I am trying to sell this to consumers direct online. I am trying to figure out how to make money with this. I am trying to post content daily. There was a lot of try. Here's the crazy thing about when you say try. It's got the assumption of failure in it. It's got the assumption of not finishing. It's not a definitive statement. It is a self-defeating statement. I am trying to do something is already giving yourself the out that maybe it's not going to get done. It's a self-defeating statement right out of the get-go, because it's not really cementing the concept in your mind and the affirmation in your mind that what you tell yourself you are venturing out to do is going to get done. There's a couple examples of this in how to shift the way that you speak that will connect more to your subconscious and give you more confidence in going exactly where you want to go. Because At this point, you must know that there is no trying, there's only doing. Yoda uncovered that for us, and he is correct in every single thing. So there's a different way to go about saying this, and that is in a positive and a negative. Both of these things work equally well. So first thing is, I am going to, then fill in the blank, which would be a positive statement. So example, I am going to create 10 pieces of content a week that I'm going to publish across all my different social media channels. Maybe that's something that you're doing because you are working towards building your personal brand, your corporate brand, whatever it is. You're building something, but you are going to create 10 pieces of content per week. You're not going to try. You are going to create this. I am going to lose 10 pounds. I am going to, not I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. I am going to read the Bible daily, not I'm going to try to read the Bible daily. There is no out. There either is doing or there is not doing. If you're not doing, I'll cover that in a second because that also gives you a lesson. But let's go back to how this works from a negative perspective, which is using the statement, I am not going to fill in the blank underneath it. So we could say that I am not going to open any social media apps today. Don't make the commitment for a week or for a month or anything like that, because that doesn't really matter. The only time that matters is right now and today. I am not going to open a social media app today. That is how you can use something that is definitive, that says this is what I'm not going to do in a negative context. It still elicits a positive result, because if your desire is focus, then not opening a social media app will give you the focus that you need because it doesn't divert it away from where you don't want it to go. So you can have this. It's not I am going to try not to open a social media app today, because that gives yourself an out. And besides, how hard is it really to not open one? Now, I get it, there's social media addiction and all that, but it's not about trying not to open it. You're either not going to open it or you are going to open it. There isn't a trying component to any of this. You can say, I am not going to drink alcohol, maybe for 30 days, because you want to lose weight. Alcohol is a big thing that we don't ever think about that has us gain all sorts of weight. So you can have it in a not version, that is a negative version, that's still going to give you a positive result, but it's still a definitive statement. Now, let's talk about what happens when you say, I am going to fill in the blank, or I am not going to fill in the blank, going to get whatever result you're going to get. Let's say that you fail to do those things. I am going to create 10 pieces of content today, but then I only create 5, or I create 0. You still did something, which is not doing what you said that you would do. As long as there's an analysis of what happened. This is something I coach people on when they're in sales. Like, so if I've got somebody selling a product for me, we'll have a meeting at the end of the day and we'll just ask them a couple of questions. First thing is, what went well today? Got to understand what happened that was what you wanted to have happen. The second thing I'll ask them is, what didn't go well today? To understand and reflect on what things didn't work the way that you wanted them to go. Third question is, what are you going to do about it? Now, you might take that in what didn't go well and what are you going to do about it. I take it as the first two questions wrapped into it. So when something's going well, I always want to know what I'm going to do about it to accelerate the process of it going well, to accelerate the speed with which I will get the results. But if it's something that's in the negative, I'm also looking at what am I going to do about it that's going to change the behavior. So let's go back to the I am not going to open any social media apps. This is something that I have said to myself before and failed at miserably. And so when I did this self-analysis of myself, I went through and I said, well, what I can do about this is I can put my phone in the office next to my physical office so I don't have it on my desk and I can just pick it up and look at it and open. It's what happens when I try to numb. When I'm stuck on something, I'll pull it up and I'll look at it. By not giving myself the opportunity to do that, by not having it in eyesight, it made a gigantic difference in that. Okay, so now let's get down to the part where you need to do something for you. You've got the lesson that Yoda gave you and that I regurgitated for you. You've got the story behind that. You've got some context for how it works. Now it comes down to the application for you, because if you do not apply what I talked about here, it is not going to matter for you. It's just going to be another video that you watch where you don't do anything about and you wonder why your life is not improving in any way that you want it to. So first part of this is find the place in your life where you say, I've been trying to do something. Like analyze that. Maybe just go throughout your day, the day that you pay attention to this particular message, and look at all the times. Catch yourself saying, I'm trying. That might be, I'm trying to make more money this year, or I am trying to lose 10 pounds. Figure out where the trying is in your speech patterns, because your speech patterns are going to deliver directly into your behaviors and your actions that you take, whether you're going to get that result or not. So look at where you've been saying trying and how can you replace it? Simply the next day, replace the word trying with doing or not doing, as I gave you examples here in this episode. And of course, before you leave, you've got to share this episode. You know somebody that needed to hear this message today. They've been saying try all over the place, and they need to do or not do and just get it on. So share this episode. All you got to do is share on the icon below. It'll pop up with a link and you'll be able to share it to whoever you want, text message, email, or even here on YouTube. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. We'll see you back on the next video.